says we're live. So I know there'll be like a little bit of a delay, but we're basically live. So we have quite a few people in the chat already. Ginger Down Under, Tim's here. Let's see, Todd is here, Fedora John, Tennessee Mike, Carlos, and more people will sign in as we go. It shows there's like 18 people or so. And we have on today's live stream, we have Nick from StrapHabit, as you can see on screen, as well as his massive SKU inventory behind him, which is I still like the last time we did this. I'm like, that is such an epic backdrop. I love that.
Oh yeah, I don't remember if I said this last time, but I started just taking meetings in here because it just was like a handy place, and then everybody like has a comment about it. So a lot of people are like, is that a real background or what is that? Like, you know.
Yeah, it looks great. I love it. So I actually have a little bit of history in warehousing and stuff like that. So like I see stuff like that and it's like it's nostalgia to me because memorizing all that and where they are and the reorder points and all that stuff, which I'm sure and we'll touch on that actually if you're open to that as a discussion. But
sure.
With the tariffs and everything like that. But before we get started with, I think our primary topic is going to be, I've avoided talking about the new watches from this year's Watches and Wonders. You have written a couple articles and probably have stayed more in tune to the new models than I have. So, but before we get started on that topic, we should probably let people know what we're wearing. So I'll let you go ahead and sound off with what watch you're wearing. Hopefully you're wearing one.
Okay, I am. Yeah. So last time I was on here with you, you asked me if there's any watches I was looking at, and I said I was into the Christopher Ward Belcanto, but I probably wouldn't end up buying one. And you can see how much willpower and restraint that I have. So I got this last week, actually. They have those sample sales if you sign up for their emails once in a while. I'll hold it up here.
Nice.
And so every time they have one, there's been a Belcanto in there, and every time by the time I click on the email, it's gone. And so last week I clicked on it and they had a Belcanto and it was sold. And then for some reason I refreshed it like an hour later and they had added 2 more on there. So I had like no time to think about it and I hit buy, and then I'm like, oh crap, what did I just do? So
because they're not inexpensive. I mean, it's a great watch for the price point. And then if you got a display discount or whatever, I'm sure you saved hundreds of dollars. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It was less than what like used ones are going for. So I just, and I really wanted to try one of these out. So this one is called, they call it Nero, but it's basically like a black gray colored dial. I originally wanted one of the bright colored, like a purple or something crazy like that, but the watch itself is so distracting to look at and so like wild looking that I feel like I'll wear it more with the black dial that I ended up getting. So
yeah, I thankfully just got one in, and I think you actually even maybe tried to buy that one when I had it in, and I did a video on it and stuff like that. It is such a cool watch, but it's one of those ones that thankfully I'm able to like look at it and appreciate it, but not feel the need to like buy it.
Sure.
So, which I think would be a healthy practice for a lot of people to do.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, because it gets out of control really quick, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some watches that I've bought that you're really excited about the idea of it, but then after a while you kind of like, okay, I've had this, I've gotten the experience down,
Carlos is asking what strap are you wearing with the Belcanto?
I'm wearing the new deployant sailcloth that just came out about a week and a half ago or so. So I put it on this blue color, which I thought looks pretty cool with the black dial and the Belcanto. This one came on the titanium bracelet, but I had to swap that out. So,
which the bracelet is great and the clasp was great. I launched your website before we started this live, and it's different than the last time. And I was on there not that long ago, but like I don't remember. Oh, you know what though? I was looking at it on the phone. So like looking at it on the desktop, having this choose your style.
Okay.
That's newer, right?
Yeah. So, and it took forever. So I worked the original StrapHabit site that was up about a month or so ago was completely built by me, and that was the probably second iteration of it. And so I've been working for almost a year or so with a marketing company now. It's a couple guys that are local to me here. And if you've noticed, like in the last year or so, like the email format has changed quite a bit. And so we went through and redid the whole site. We had a lot of delays. It took a lot longer than expected, but yeah, the whole thing's pretty much all new. And the goal was just to make it easier to shop and find what you're looking for and have people have a better experience on there. So,
I like the simplicity
appreciate any
of
feedback.
This.
Yeah.
I definitely like the simplicity of this. Instead of having to do like a drop down or something, it's just right there. You're just like, oh, well, I mean, I'm clearly going to go after, I like the FKM rubber straps. You know that. Everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just click that, boom, it fast tracks me right to it. And then, I like the deployants, the smooth ones. And then, of course, when they get into the camouflage ones, the crazy ones. So, which is probably under this category. Yeah. So, and there's always more opportunity here. So, anyway, that's the ones I gravitate toward. But I did just get in your new release ones. So, I did put one watch because I had a little bit of time to play around, and this Ulsta bronze, the factory strap that it came on sucked so bad. It like interfered with the case. So I'm like, is that just like where the holes are or whatever? So I put your strap on there, and it like this is the strap that the watch should have came on. So
cool.
Like it looks so good on it. Like it's just like the dark green. I don't know what you officially call it, but that's the strap to put on that watch right there.
Yeah, I mean that's my favorite kind of story when people, have a watch and something bothers them or annoys them, and I'm able to help them kind of enjoy it more or wear it more. So, yeah.
It kind of escalated quickly for me in the strap game. Definitely meeting you in New York a couple of years ago, but now I have like this IKEA drawer system here, and like it was one drawer that was full FKM rubber from you. Now it's spilled over, and I have two drawers now essentially, and that's not including a ton of watches that are already sitting on the straps. Because the way I am when it comes to straps, and I know this is silly, but maybe some people will get it. You have quick release spring bars. It's super easy to swap them out and everything. But if I dedicate a strap for a watch, I don't want to have to pull that strap off that watch to cycle it onto another one. So like I will hard park it there, and then I will put another strap somewhere else. It looks like you got a visitor behind you. You got a cat.
Yeah. There's two cats running around here.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, hopefully he doesn't jump on the table. I was in a call down here, and the cat like walked across the table right in front of me.
Yeah, got to be part of the show. That'd be fine if it did. I don't have any pets, so I always like seeing other people's pets. So,
but yeah, I mean, to your kind of what you were saying, Rob, like obviously, like I could easily just go out of control with watch straps for my own collection as well. So usually when I get a new watch, I try to pick like one or two that's going to be the strap for that watch, and then after a while maybe I'll swap it out or change it or something. But I try not to have like every day swapping around like you said, which ends up happening anyway, but try to avoid it.
Yeah, because once you start to use it, it's like you can't sell it again, and like you don't want to just you don't want to get high on your own supply sort of thing. Like you're trying to run a business here, not just like have an infinite amount of straps for your watches.
Yeah, exactly. I've used that phrase too. Yeah.
So I was wearing, if anybody cares, I've been wearing the Doxa Sub 300T, the flat sapphire one. That's the one I've been wearing recently. I like the weight of it. And I like it on the beads of rice bracelet that it comes on. It's got a lot of heft to it, so it's nice to like rekindle that relationship I've had with bracelets. It seems like I took such a hard break from bracelet watches. It's cool to wear one again.
I've been thinking that too, actually, because I mean, I wore this on the bracelet for like a couple of days, but I mean, I have a couple watches with nice bracelets that I probably should wear more as well.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So John is asking, or more of a statement. We need a bright red and neon orange option. Bright red and neon orange. He's talking about your straps, I think. A lot of orange straps out there, especially, seem to be too bland of an orange, too much to match certain watches. Blah blah blah. Okay, so he's thinking more intense color from an orange, a neon orange. I don't know. That would be. It sounds good, but like to execute it is maybe not super possible. But also, the 10 people that are going to buy it, instead of just like a clean flat orange.
Yeah, that's the one. Is a couple years ago, I feel like the same thing happened with watches as well as my straps, which was like crazy colors were more popular a couple years ago than now. I mean, they still sell, but I feel like people are maybe going a little bit back more towards like the more standard stuff.
Yeah, possibly.
But if you want to see a really crazy colored strap, I'm doing a strap together with Worn and Wound and Teenage Grandpa for a cycling charity ride that Worn and Wound is sponsoring. So if you go on the site to the Shop by Style charity section, you can see those, and that's probably the craziest color strap that we've done so far.
It's on your website?
Yeah.
Shop by Style?
Yeah. Or go to What's New. You can find it under What's New also.
Okay.
Or I wonder if I can send you a link to it. I don't know how to do that.
Well, I'm sure I can.
Or go to the pink. Click on the pink. Yeah, right there.
Oh, for charity. Okay.
And then that one on the left, that's grayed out, but you'll see it when you click on it.
Oh, dang. That is awesome.
Yeah, so we designed it to match the colors of the cycling team's uniform. And if you click the little arrow to the left, I think you can go through the photos that way.
Okay.
So these will be on StrapHabit and Worn and Wound, and the proceeds will go towards that cancer charity as well. But yeah, it's not exactly
the green back too. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's not quite neon orange and red, but if somebody's looking for something crazy colored, I don't know exactly when we're gonna put those on sale yet, but you can sign up. You can see right there for notifications when those are available.
Yeah, that is a wild combo. That is really cool. Okay, so because we'll run out of time in the sense that I try to keep the live stream in about an hour. Let's talk about Watches and Wonders 2025 releases. And you and I didn't talk really prior to this, but we just mentioned that we were going to have this topic, I guess. But obviously the two big ones that everyone talks about is Rolex and Tudor. And this is why I typically don't even pay attention to Watches and Wonders, because that's such the heavy focus, and I don't really care about either one of them. So is there one that you want to talk about? Like, is there a standout watch or something from
I'm trying to think.
I have one
really
for
anything
sure.
Okay. Yeah, there wasn't there was stuff that I thought was cool. There wasn't like a watch where there wasn't anything that I saw that I thought like, oh, I'm going to want to try to buy that.
Okay. So I think before we beat the dead horse, I'm going to start off with and this is maybe a little lame, but the big standout for me, and it's nothing new. Nomos has had this movement in kind of this watch, but they just they changed it up a bit. But they have these new colorways, and they're only doing 175 of each, which for Nomos is they'll sell out pretty quick. So they have a few different colorways, and this is their own in-house movement. It's a push button that advances. It only goes one way, so it's kind of like a caller's GMT, but it's still really cool. And the one that I like is actually the jungle colorway. I don't know why, but the color play they did just works really good. Plus, it has that like kind of magenta pink or whatever you want to call it, second time zone hand or whatever that is. So, and each one is after kind of a different climate or something. So you can see they really played on that. And there's Canyon. And they have two colorways that are going to be permanent in the lineup. There's Glacier, which the colors of that subdial there are really kind of tied in with the, I guess that's the Golden Gate Bridge, but it's under the Glacier, which I don't think there's a glacier anywhere near San Francisco, but okay. And then there's Magna.
That's a good point.
And then Dune. So I think I like all the colorways on the Nomos, as well as their execution. Do they show them? Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast here, but their in-house movements they do are just bonkers cool. Actually, the Volcano one's pretty cool.
And this one, because they had the push button world timer before, but I feel like this one's a little bit more kind of natural or usable of format to reading the the second time.
Yeah, they must have cleaned it up. I did a video on that one you're talking about years ago, and I liked it then. But it's a 40 mil case. It's got a great bracelet. It's super thin. It's an automatic movement. But anyway, that's out of all the cool watches that came out, and I know it's a lot of money, but for me, I'm like looking at it and going like, well, for 4,700, it's 4,720 USD. I'm like, I could swing that. Like, it would take me a minute to gather up the funds.
Yeah.
But like, that's doable.
Yeah, it's not like some of the stuff that came out that you're just like, I would never go for. That one is cool, and they definitely had some pretty. I wouldn't have thought on my own to put some of those colors together, but I think they look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a bit daring. I've seen some other brands do it too. Farrah's doing it. I think Farrah's done a really good job with it. Studio Underdog has actually done a really good of like odd pairings of colors, and they've done designs for other companies as well. And then there's a bunch of companies that are doing it. But we're talking about watches that. So Blog to Watch did a bunch of articles on a bunch of watches that I don't even half the brands I'm not even familiar with, let alone how crazy the complications are and everything. But you wrote a couple articles.
Yeah.
Like here's one from the new release from H. Mosier. So this is a release from Watches and Wonders, right?
Yeah. So basically they did, there's 3 different models of watch and 6 different combinations of basically stone dials that you can get with them, creating like 18 new watches. And yeah, I think they were from like $40,000 to like $300,000 or something like that. They're all, as you were saying, like not things that like most of us normal people are looking to try to buy, but they and some of the color combos are more. Honestly, it's like a very expensive Nomos, which I wrote in the article too.
Oh, you did.
It kind of reminds me of those watches you were just showing on the screen, as far as like not the same exact colors, but the way that they kind of put these like 2 contrasting colors together, except they're using, rare stones and gold and all kinds of crazy
I mean, I
stuff
get
on
it. I
there.
look at it. It's a beautiful watch, but it's so far out my wheelhouse. But I mean, maybe if I like just escalated my income to the point where, these are like if this was the equivalent to you buying like the Christopher Ward Bel Canto, and then this is, also a chiming watch, but with a tourbillon.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm guessing that is not an inexpensive watch.
Yeah, the chiming tourbillon one I think was like 300,000 or something like that.
Yeah. I just mentally, like, because of like I'm almost 50 years old and where I've come from in my life, like even if I were to have uh the level of money that watch is like a viable option, I don't know if mentally I could do it.
No, it would just come down to like, what could you do with that amount of money? There's so many things, but then there's people just operating on another plane where, that's like a reasonable thing to them, so.
Yeah, but also, and maybe you know this, or maybe some people in the chat know, say that's $300,000 H Mosier. They probably don't make very many of those.
Those are one each. Yeah.
Yeah. So like now, even if you could get one, because if it's that scarce, now it basically turns into like an investment piece?
I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't know enough about those to predict what the value is going to do, I guess, of that. But yeah, that's a good question, because it's not a brand that has as much of a track record, I guess, as certain
Well,
other things.
I'm pretty sure H Mosier's kind of a powerhouse in the luxury world for sure.
Okay.
So you did the article on that one, and then you did an article on.
Yeah, this watch is not a brand I was actually familiar with prior to this, but that Louis Monet invented the chronograph, and this dial of this watch is kind of modeled after that original first ever world's chronograph had this like strange dial layout like this. So
it looks like a oh my gosh face. It looks like the two eyes and then like a larger mouth.
Yeah. Those two subdials are like up higher than they normally are on a chronograph a lot of the time. But it's titanium, and
that's good.
Yeah. The price, you had to contact them to get the price, which I did not do. So I don't know what the price is of it.
If you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah. I had one that I wanted to ask you your opinion about, Rob, which is not one that I wrote up, but so I feel like most people are kind of the opinion that watches are trending smaller now. Like, 10 years ago or so, like everybody was making like really big size watches, and things are trending a little bit towards smaller. And you see people like saying they want smaller watches. And then Tudor went and came out with a Black Bay that's bigger and a Pelagos that's bigger than the existing models. And I'm curious what you think about that.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, because I am a fan of Tudor, like a big fan of Tudor. Like one of my favorite watches is the Tudor Pelly LHD, and I'm glad they didn't really mess with the Pellys too much. I think adding this, we'll address this one first. So the Pelagos Ultra, I think, is a solid move. Now, I'm gonna stay reserved on. My first initial impressions of it were not that great, but I want to see one. My issue that I feel like it kind of got cheapened a little bit in the dial layout is, if you look at
the chapter ring.
Yes, you already going to go there. Like, so the other Pellys, well, I don't think the 39 does it, but the other 42 millimeter Pellys, which aren't really 42, the index or the indices are kind of Frenched into the chapter. So they have like a relief in the chapter, and they're pushed out a little bit. So
it's kind of like your notice
it's,
or the sector deep.
yeah, and even the Seiko Monsters, which is kind of where I got that from.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
but if I'm looking at them closer, maybe it's a non-topic, and I'm making it a bigger deal because as I look at my, if you, let me go back here and show it closer. So if you go to, I'm just gonna bring up the LHD because that's the one I'm looking at. If you look at it, it is, but only because this portion of the chapter is at a different plane and flares out towards the dial. So they had to relief it. If they wouldn't have done that, and if they would have just cut it and left the chapter over here, then it would probably be similar to. So maybe I'm making an issue out of something that's not really an issue.
Yeah,
But I couldn't help but notice it.
Yeah, I still think it's cooler on the one that you have.
But the cool thing with this is it's 1,000-meter water depth rating on it. So do you need 1,000-meter water depth dive watch? No. So not only is it 1,000-meter water depth, it's true to the Pelagos, the whole beginning of it is it's like it could be used as a legit dive watch, and in the big scheme of things, it's relatively affordable. So at $5,950, you're under 6,000. I don't know how well they'll sell, but and then this little color indicator on the clasp, I guess they had an indicator on the old one. It was just done in like a scaled with a relief cut in the.
And it has locking. You can lock it or you can float it, right?
Yeah, so it would lock in the 3 positions, and then it would float in that fourth. So it's the same as that. They just presented it differently. So overall, I think it's a great watch. It's only slightly thicker, and yes, it's a little bit larger. It's 43 millimeter instead of. I mean, everybody thinks the. Where's my? Everybody thinks the Pellies. I've done videos on this a while ago. So even this one I have, like at the bezel, mine is 42.3. But if you measure the case is only like 41.6.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious to get one of those in hand, which I will. I'll get one in hand. It might be 6 months from now. Who knows? But and actually measure it. So like, it's probably 43 across the bezel. The case is probably actually like 42 and a half. So I think it's going to wear really good.
Okay. Yeah, and it's titanium, which helps.
Yeah, it's grade 2 titanium. It would have been really cool if they would have said, you know what, let's do grade 5 titanium. Let's make this 6,700. I don't know what it costs to do. I would be more impressed. But the grade 2 just gives the look, I think. The grade 5, I don't know if it'd look as gray.
Yeah, it's more of a tool watch kind of look.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the more I look at it, the more I actually like it. When I first looked at it, I was just like, eh. But the more I look at it, I actually kind of dig it. I don't know how it fits in the overall lineup, though.
Well, yeah, like that one makes a little more sense to me because they did add some capability to it. So it's I think it's probably bigger to be thicker and add that, or maybe not thicker, but kind of just add that water resistance.
If you're gonna make a 1,000-meter dive,
really
it has to be bigger
because the Black Bay collection, they had been going smaller, and you at least like the kind of like watch collector people that you hear talking are always talking about smaller. I want the Black Bay 58.
Yeah, so I think the Black Bay 58 remains the Goldilocks.
To me.
We're losing you a little bit, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your connection's cutting out a little bit. So the Black Bay 58, I think, remains the Goldilocks, and then
Oh, yeah.
the Black Bay 68. I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah. That one's 43. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's 43.
I mean, I assume.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I assume it's Tudor. They probably do a ton of market research and know what people are looking for from the brand.
Right. Yeah. If you got a bunch of guys out there with 7.5 to 8.5 inch wrists, which there are, everyone thinks that there isn't, but there is, then that's their watch. That's the watch for them. So, or even if your wrist is 6.5 inch wrist and you just like big, heavy watch, then that's your watch. But they only came out with 2 colorways. So I think it's a bit of a beta. I think they're like testing to see how the response is. The other thing they did is they got rid of the rivets on the side of the bracelet.
Oh, yeah.
So that I actually like.
Yeah, I would prefer not to have that.
And on both these models, they're not really vintagey looking. They're kind of new, clean, and crisp looking. So I think a non-riveted bracelet makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. The other thing I was going to say that is an interesting thing, I was talking to Mark at Long Island Watch recently, and we were talking about some different sizes of the SKX model, and he said people say they want the small size one, but what they actually buy is the big size one. So, I wonder if that is supporting, what Tudor's doing as well. Like all the watch enthusiasts are kind of saying like, oh, we want the 58, we want the small size, but it appears, they actually have customers that wanted the bigger size.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see. Actually, I work with Exquisite Timepieces, and they picked up Tudor pretty recently. So I need to reach out to my sales guy, Tyler, and I wonder if I could get the information.
To see what's selling.
Yeah, what's really selling, because I suspect if it's, well, it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm sitting here saying that the Black Bay 58 is the Goldilocks size, but really maybe the Black Bay 41 is the Goldilocks size. The 58, 54 is kind of like for maybe the purist that wants the more true to vintage size, or the wrist just prefers that size. The 41 is going to be universal. And then the 43 is the big boy watch.
Yeah. Yeah, because like to me, like I don't mind a 41, but the 58 like side of the case is thinner, and I kind of just like it from that standpoint of the case being thinner rather than the diameter of it. Like,
tried one of these newer? Yeah, have you tried one of the newer 41s though? It's not as thin as the 58, but they are thinner. Okay,
no, I haven't seen the new ones, so yeah, I might have obsolete information.
Yeah, they used to be like, I mean, they're still slab-sided, but it's definitely thinner than what they used to be. They changed some other things with the chronos, I think.
That was one of the ones I wrote up and had a little bit of trouble figuring out even what was new about it. So there you go. The new thing they announced was basically these panda color dials, a 3-link bracelet, and they have the T-Fit clasp. So, and it said a reworked case, but all the dimensions and everything were the same. So I couldn't exactly figure out like what was different about it. It seems to be they just put the bracelet that was on the blue dial and the pink dial that had the quick adjust clasp, and now you can get it on the white and black ones.
But they're claiming a reworked case. I wonder if they just kind of like chamfered it up a little bit more or something, like softened the edges or something.
I think so, yeah, because all the dimensions were the same. It wasn't like thinner or smaller or anything.
So these are all just stock photos that you pull for your article.
Yeah, and it's interesting and challenging because you know, a lot of brands do like an embargo and they release the information ahead of time, and then they just say like you can't publish it until this day at this time. So it gives the websites an opportunity to like write the content ahead of time and get it ready to go, and then at launch you just launch it. But Rolex and Tudor, I'm guessing because there's always so many leaks every year,
Yeah,
they control that information and don't release it. So basically when it releases at whatever time in Switzerland, it ended up being like 2:30 a.m. here when Tudor released. So when and Rolex did it a little bit earlier because the stuff got leaked. But basically, like it just gets put onto their website at the same time, and then everybody has to scramble to put some content together and basically download the photos. The only person that I saw that got early access to the Rolex was Teddy Baldessar. Somehow had the land dweller in hand and did a video about it
because he put in the friggin' work and built something pretty epic. He's got a massive channel, good following, good archive of videos, and then he built a brick and mortar. Like he did the grind
it just goes
and
to
made it
show,
happen.
Yeah, and it goes to show how, you know, seriously he's being taken, that they, you know, gave him that opportunity.
Yeah, and he does a great job. So speaking of Rolex, I hate their website.
It's hard to find what you're looking for. Actually,
okay, so I'm not the only one.
No, and I had to do a Patek article, which is not a website I'm normally browsing around, and I had so much trouble finding what I was trying to look for on their website. But Rolex is pretty tricky as well.
Yeah, I mean it looks great. Don't get me wrong; it does look great, but yeah, like launch the experience. I'm going to see more videos and stuff. Like I just want to see the freaking watch. So like, okay, here we go. We can do the watch. So we're going to start with the land dweller.
They have almost like a configurator when you're buying a car, where you can go on there and like pick all your different stuff that you want, and then at the end it shows you a picture of the watch you're not going to be able to buy.
Well, I think the new releases, I don't think some of the new releases are going to be super easy to buy, but this right here, other than I like the Nomos for one that I could get, but this right here was probably the coolest thing that I picked up from the whole show. They like changed. They got rid of the fork. Like the palette fork is gone. Like it's.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's 10 beats per second now.
See how it does that?
Yeah, I forget what they call this thing, but it's pretty wild. I'm assuming that thing must be like made of silicone, probably.
Yeah, it's their own proprietary version of silicone, but yeah. But that's just cool.
But yeah, it's high beat, 10 beats per second, and that crazy. It's almost kind of, I think the idea is kind of like coaxial, where there's less like friction when there's no like palette fork sliding. It's all kind of like direct contact, but a much more.
It's a more fluid motion
version. Yeah.
So that part is really cool, and then they housed it in this the Landmaster. and they gave it a display case back. It looks like that's pretty cool. I mean,
that's a
smart move.
New technology.
Yeah, it's a cool watch.
I guess. Yeah.
I want to, and they did 40 and 36, and it's, as far as Rolex goes, it's not insane. It's, it'd be kind of like a baller date just, it's 14.9, so you're looking at 15K. Um,
Yeah.
it's pretty solid. Like, I don't know that.
I mean, that crazy new movement being in it justifies the price a lot more than if it was just a date just with no lugs, to me at least.
And they hid the clasp relief, so
Mhm.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
and
how
actually, just
easy this stuff's
before
going to
we
be able to get.
no, just before we jumped on this call, I'm just looking on my phone here. My friend sent me something just before this that there was the first one's for sale. Someone's trying to sell for 40,000 for a stainless and 215,000 for a platinum with diamond bezel. So the flippers are already at it. Things been out for a week.
The crazy part is somebody will pay it. They'll do it.
Yeah, somebody that wants to be the only one to have it for a month or however long.
What else? They did some new colors for the Oyster Perpetual, which is pretty cool
Yeah,
because
they
that's,
always
I
have.
mean,
I mean, they always have a couple pretty good colors of that.
and it's not their corporate color, but it's a cool green. And these are, for the most part, relatively affordable as far as a Rolex goes. Again, it's $6,500. So it was just that green.
I thought there was one. Maybe it's one of the smaller sizes. I thought there was like a couple other new colors.
Yeah, I think it's in maybe
Or
a
is that
different.
a new color? And they got rid of the
I think maybe it's just 36 because
celebration
that's new.
dial.
Oh yeah, they got rid of that one.
Okay.
And then of course they did the GMT Master.
Oh yeah, there's the Tiger Eye one and the green one. Yeah.
But they did it in a left-hand drive. So the black dial variant of it
Yeah.
must have been doing pretty well. Which I did try one of those on because I like the LHDs and everything. I tried one on when I was in California. I didn't like it. It seemed weird.
Okay.
But I think I've grown more and more
Oh,
disconnected with the brand.
yeah. And this one's, I'm pretty sure, white gold also.
Yeah, they'll typically launch in precious metal, but like expect, more in stainless steel variants, later.
Well,
It's
because they
just,
have this.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, they had the green and black left hand one, but this new one with the green dial is a white gold, I believe.
Yeah, it's just uninspiring.
Which makes
to me.
sense, kind of, because yeah, I'm not that excited about it either.
Like, to the point where I know that even if I were offered one, I could buy it and sell it and make money. I still don't even think I would even buy it.
Yeah, ooh, that one.
$50,000. After you pay tax and everything on it, it's going to be $50K.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it'll sell for even more than that.
Yeah, I wonder if the white gold ones flip for a lot more too, just because it's so expensive to start with. But I've never tried to look really for one, so I don't know.
I think the big gains are on the stainless steel models because people can actually afford
I think
them.
so.
Once you go precious metals, I don't think it's as lucrative.
by the way, this is just an interesting side story, but so I went to Japan a couple months ago, as you and I talked about, and we went. My coworker that was with me is a really big watch guy as well, so we went walking around one day looking at some of the crazy watch stores there, and we saw a guy buying a platinum Daytona in cash. They had
What the
one of those like cash counting machines, like going like this. It just was in that thing. Yeah.
That is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's cool to see someone drop that kind of coin. That like they can do that. But I don't get it. I don't. Oh man.
Yeah, we were wondering if it was some kind of movement of money around that he didn't want people to know about or something. I don't know. That's a lot of cash to be walking down the street with.
Oh sure, I mean, it's that's the dark side of things. When you got a brand like, you know, Patek or Rolex and you know, any of the big brands that are essentially a commodity, they're not really it's not even a watch at that point. It's a commodity. It's like buying a brick of gold or something. But like if you have a bunch of cash, you can basically launder it essentially by going to buy a really expensive Rolex, and then now it becomes legitimate.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see also if you're traveling to different countries,
sure,
and you just, oh, this is just
wear
my
it right
watch
on
on my wrist. Like, yeah, I had this. I'm not bringing cash in. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. So I don't think there was any other big standouts on there, but I did want to have a quick conversation because I think this potentially affects you. Maybe, or maybe you haven't given it much thought, but the chaos with the tariffs and everything. I know Mark at Long Island Watch has dropped a couple of really good videos on the topic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say first before you and I even start talking, if anybody watching hasn't watched those and you're interested about learning how tariffs affect real businesses, I think Mark did a better job than I could imagine to do to summarize those topics.
With the video he posted today,
it was math and
he did a very good job of explaining because the average consumer goes like, yeah, but you're only paying $35 more, or even if it's $100, whatever, pick the number, just tack it on the end. It's just like, yeah, but that's not how business is done, because I have to replace that. And now you've taken away some of my ability to replace that.
Yeah. It's true. I was also happy to see that Mark doesn't know how to spell tariff, because I have been really struggling with that as well. He spelled it.
We're all learning how to spell
two
tariff.
different
It's
ways
one
in
R,
the video,
2 F.
and I keep doing 2 R's and 1 F, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think I've done it at times that my phone doesn't auto correct it anymore, and so like
it's
I'm like, wait,
fine.
which one's right? But yeah.
Maybe they could just change the spelling to appease everybody that's getting it wrong. So,
right.
So is it affecting? Do you anticipate it affecting you? I mean, if it stays the current course.
Yeah, I haven't had to, I haven't experienced that yet. I think it will affect me. I really honestly don't have a plan of what I will do yet, I guess. I think my business margins are maybe a little better because I don't have any employees and my costs are a little bit low. But I mean, that being said, talking about tariffs, like Mark a couple of months ago also did a really great video where he broke down like all of his costs of running his business and kind of the percentages of what it eats in, like he shows like, oh, the watch costs me this much and I sell it much, I make this much profit, but then he shows like how that gets broken up to all his expenses and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of really expenses that I'm kind of like learning as a business grows. Like, even if you start selling more, your expenses just go up like almost just as fast as the business grows. That
I learned that from some larger Kickstarter projects that went big, and talking to the owners of the brands that were launching on Kickstarter. This is maybe not even watches. This could be other products, but because it doesn't matter what the product is. as soon as you hit a certain scale, it costs way more money to take care of that scale. So like now
Yeah.
like the average person might think they're like, oh, cool, you just hit it big. It's like, no, I just screwed myself because like I was anticipating selling this for this much, and now my landed cost, which Mark kind of covered, the landed cost starts to go way up because now you have to develop like an overhead that you weren't anticipating.
Yeah. Yeah. And just from like my own experience, like different states have different sales tax requirements of when you have to start remitting sales tax to different states. And so if like your business grows and you start hitting those requirements in different states, now I'm paying for a software that will track all of that. And each state you pay like a monthly fee every time it files it. Like you're talking about keeping track of inventory. Like as your inventory becomes more and more complicated, like the software that I use for that, that's $550 a month, like just there, which actually another thing I owe Mark a thank you for, because he told me what software to use and it's been great. But just everything escalating. So I guess like to me the tariffs are going to be a part of it. I think probably like watch straps are a lower cost item, so like the add-on to the piece cost I don't think will be as bad as if you're selling a couple $100 watch or something like that. So it remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it's going to be a temporary thing. I could be wrong, but it seems like the bigger concern is like Mark was saying, he's got a shipment coming in, and I actually just experienced basically a smaller version of this where I had a brand send me a watch, and I got hit with like duties, tariff, whatever you want to call it. But it was only because it got shipped within that window when it existed, and then it got paused. If it would have shipped before or after that, well, now I'm over here negotiating with UPS, basically saying no, they paid this, and I have to like prove to them that they paid it, and ultimately it's like I'm wasting my time because it's like $98. Like I should just pay it and move on with my life. But I'm like frustrated because that's a watch that was sent in for me to video. I got paid no money to do it, and here I am having to pay $100 to do it. My video will never make $100.
Right, so. Right, and yeah, and the other thing that I learned by watching Mark's video, because there used to be an $800 exemption, so if the thing that's getting shipped to you is less than $800, there was no tariffs now, and now for at least China and Hong Kong, I know they got rid of that now. So even if it's any price now, so it's going to make it not only cost more money to people, but if people buying lower cost items, it's just going to be way more complicated because now you're going to have to deal with that tariff payment.
Yeah, if that doesn't go away, which I suspect that thing is actually not going to go away. But if they don't figure that out and adjust that, you're going to see a ton of people, definitely in the watch community, that are buying like, Mark used the example of San Martin or Seastern or any of those, AliExpress, any of those. You're not going to go buy a $300 watch and then have to pay another $120 on top of that. Like that kills the deal. Like you'd be better off just buying an Islander for $400 or $500, or any other micro brand. Pick it, Swiss Watch Company USA or Notice or Dryden, or pick whatever brand.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see where it will go as well, just because some of this stuff, at least as it currently stands, just can't be made in the United States. There's not companies that can make a full watch at large scale for an affordable price in the United States right now. And even like I've been trying for a long time to find a manufacturer to make straps in the United States. Like even if they're more expensive, I feel like it's something I want to do. And I feel like there's probably some customers that would pay more for something like that. And I've contacted all these companies and they either don't want to do it, or like I had a company I talked to recently and he said, yeah, I mean, we can make nylon watch straps, but we can't make them to the quality that they're made in China. There's just nobody in the US that can do it. So And that's not
So
the type of thing that can be just built overnight, you know?
Yeah, so there's that. So there's two. You just brought up what I really, really want to get down to is, all right, I love what Vortic and Colorado Watch Company are doing. I actually flew out to Fort Collins and visited their facility, which is freaking epically cool. And I think as time goes on, it'll progressively get even more and more cleaner. Like this field watch, I haven't seen yet. It's a pretty good looking case, but I mean, again, no offense to them, but like look at the case, and then look at a case on like a San Martin or whatever. Like they're getting better, but like the U.S. All these U.S. brands are trying to figure out a way to make their own cases because that's the biggest, easiest piece to try to accomplish manufacturing, at least at some scale.
It requires precision machining and expensive equipment to do it, but it doesn't require this massive investment of building them.
So you got Colorado Watch Companies kind of doing it, and well, they're not kind of doing it; they're doing it. You have Weiss, but I'm not 100% sure how much he's actually making. Like, I think he's making his case.
Yeah, because I know at one point it said when he was in California, I think it said Los Angeles on the dial, and they made him change it or get rid of that, I think, because it wasn't meeting the requirement of that.
Yeah, but he never said made in Los Angeles. Like even this one, I wish he would write, Nashville, Tennessee on it or whatever. But I know he is making some of this. But to keep cranking out watches, he can't be bogged down with making. This is the problem. And he's selling at $2,600. So then
I think
I want to show you this
small batch, like expensive, mostly handmade watches. I think there's some capability, but to have, like, if you want to get a watch that's equivalent to a couple $100 Seiko that's made in the
not
US,
gonna happen. I don't think we'll ever see that.
Yeah.
I really don't think we will. So this guy, he's out in Arizona, I think, and it's called Seal Instruments. That's all grade 5 titanium. He is machining all of it. He makes a bracelet and everything. I'm pretty sure he's even making his hands and his dials. The only thing that's not being produced by him in his shop is the movement.
Okay,
but
that's pretty cool.
The watches are like $5,000.
Yeah.
And I was able to check one out in Charlotte at the Intersect show. A guy was walking around wearing one, and it is extremely nice. Like I kind of want one. Nice. But
do they have them in stock, or it says current inventory? I see.
Well, I think he's sold out.
Okay. Yeah, like that's what I was gonna say. If they're kind of made in small batches, it's not the kind of thing that you can just order something inexpensive again.
Because I was gonna buy this one right here because it was like $3,000 or something.
Okay.
And he already sold it. But he's got like this crazy bracelet and stuff he makes too. And it's all grade 5 titanium. So I've been talking. My biggest issue that I have with this is literally you got all these USA brands, and they're all trying to do it independently. Some of them are, or all of them are at different levels of achievement. And even Philip from Visitor Watch, he was working with Kokomo Watch Company in Kokomo, Indiana, because they'll make some stuff themselves too. But I think he just kept on hitting hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And the last time I talked to him, I haven't verified this, but I'm pretty sure he's buying up machinery and putting it in his garage, and he's trying to figure out how to make it himself because I think he's sick of relying on somebody else.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and he's really close to achieving. I forget the model's not on here, but he had it at the last show. I forget what the model's called, but it's got like it's a really cool model, and he's getting there. He's slowly getting there. And there's other brands out there that I think could achieve this. Oh, I got people texting me. There's other brands out here that I think could achieve this, but I think collectively what needs to happen is companies need to okay, here's another one actually. I'll bring this one up and then we'll close out. So Alan at Zao. Yeah. You probably met Alan.
Yeah, I met him at Intersect LA like a year and a half ago, I think, or something like that. Yeah. And we did a couple straps together.
Oh, you did? Oh, shoot, I just missed it right there. So the Francis Scott Key limited edition watch, this one right here. But look at the price point, it's $1,500. But that case is made. He found a machine shop near him, in Baltimore, that is machining that case, and they're doing. I mean, I looked at it, I handled it. It's a good case. It's a good case. So, okay. And his movements, he already gets like the components, and then has a watchmaker in Baltimore assemble it. So yeah, the components are sourced, but then it's assembled there. But then the case, so like everyone's. Like I said, they're gaining ground, they're gaining traction, and they're making achievements. But everybody's having to like forge their own path instead of. It seems like I don't know how it would look like, because I'm not running a business like you guys are. But like, shouldn't there be a push to facilitate someone to manufacture this stuff in the United States instead of everybody trying to do it themselves?
Yeah, no, I think I agree. Actually, there is a guy that lives in Columbus that I know here named Zach Smith. His company is called Our Precision, and he's been trying to work with some brands. He does like really fine machining stuff like that, and has been trying to develop things like that. But I think it's just a really hurdle to just develop all the components, and then still like the movement is the big part that you're not going to be able to call it an American made watch unless basically almost every component has to be made here. So
yeah, I don't even think that should be the attempted achievement at this point. I think that at this point, if we can have, because Colorado Watch found someone to make the crystals. I don't know if it's sapphire, if it's Gorilla Glass or whatever it is, but somebody in the United States is making the crystals. So the brand should attempt to like support any of these companies that are trying to do it at scale, because that'll help them scale up. And then the case manufacturing, if you have a couple of machine shops that can start to specialize in it. There was one guy, I don't even know if I'll be able to find it. Because he closed up. I got to see if I can find it. I don't remember how to spell it, but his name is Denny, and he's down in Southeast Michigan. I went to visit him, and see, I don't even know if I can find it. I should have prepped more for that, but so. He had a CNC machine. I watched him do it. He developed and built his own bracelet, which was insanely complicated, and it was good. And then he made his own cases, and they were good. And he was doing watches, and he had a clean room, and he was doing, high spec Swiss movements. And I'm like, just COSC, but then there's even higher grades of COSC, like elaborate grade of Solita movements. So he was doing like top grade movements, and then placing them in these watches. And his price points were like pretty good because his overhead was low. He was using mostly his dad's equipment at this other machine shop.
Okay.
And he made his bread and butter by doing these crazy custom built microphones. Like, I'm using this microphone here. He's got these very detailed, specific microphones for studios that are like one-off builds for these artists. And then he was a watch enthusiast and he started building these watches. But he's since gone now because it didn't take off. But he can make a case. Like he's probably made the best case I've seen.
Okay, but again, it's like small batch.
Probably isn't going to happen at scale,
stuff,
but
right.
if it's going to be mostly U.S. made, you look at Weiss and you look at that Seal Instruments and stuff like that. They're probably only selling like a couple watches a month. It's not like they're doing hundreds of units a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fedora Jam found him.
Okay.
He makes our microphones at work. So John already knows him. So, and that's what I mean. Like everyone's trying to do it on their own, and then they all start to fail because it's not being done in a better way.
Yeah.
You need someone to orchestrate that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, yeah, these watch brands have a community or any kind of. I mean, I know like Notice tries to support some of that stuff with Intersect and some of their things, but I don't know if there's any like American making like push or anything like that. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, the Notice crew has built a really good thing to be produced over in China for other companies at scale because they have it established. But to set it up in the States is going to be a hell of a challenge. But I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah. I would be happy to find a factory to make watch straps here, but yeah, I haven't been able to do that.
Keep trying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off on the live stream. Nick, don't hang up yet, though. But thanks for joining me, Nick. I appreciate it. It makes my job a lot easier. And I think we covered a lot of ground today with no real results.
Yeah, but it's fun. And, your community is always really fun to interact with as well. So I enjoy coming on these and chatting with you and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll put a link to StrapHabit down below in the comments after this video loads, and go get yourself a good deal. I'll put a discount code down there as well. So, signing off.
Yeah, the random.
Thanks for joining.
Still working. So, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.